and blasted their way into this brilliant 7th World Cup final, occurring now here in the north of Italy, Bolzano, Bozen, in the Dolomite Mountains of Italy. Where the quick shooting, 6-gun toting Americans have ridden themselves like a wild bronco through trial and tribulation into this final, doing what their North American counterparts could not do. The Canadians failing to stretch, making it to the bronze medal match earlier on today, and not coming up with the goods against the team that they met in the opening round and drew. Let's see if North America still has something to cheer about as the Arena Palaonda in Bolzano fills up to its biggest capacity yet. More than 300 people here now. Fans, supporters of the game, Czechs, Americans, Aussies in front, getting stuck into their sandwiches and snacks, prepared for an outstanding match against the masters, the master class that is the Czech Republic and their hockey. Pedigree on all forms, wheels and ice, proven 4 times holders of this cup at masters level. Oldies but goodies. And the Czech team are planning on sealing their fate and history and signing their names onto this 7th iteration of this growing Masters over 38 inline competition. And an early consolidated dig just meets the post and testing the Americans already. Americans not getting any possession just yet, but when they do, they are certainly capable of rushing forward at pace. My name is Pete Wirtz. It's been my pleasure, if not my voices, to bring these matches to you from my little tin shed midway up the stands in this Palaonda Arena, a fantastic arena for this level. Americans just about to unleash their firepower when their maths don't quite add up. And Glenn Evans is going to visit some familiar stomping grounds for him. He's going to watch the opening bit of this match while the Czechs go on their first power play. Different outcome to the Americans' normal procedure of attack, attack, attack. That being their strongest defense. The number 2 now, Watanabe, just chasing the high slot. Trickling puck that goes through. Czechs gather and try and stretch the American pyramid. Little tip, just goes to show you how that high forecheck and that determination of number 2 on the American team pays dividends. Puck being disrupted, interfered with, messed around, and cleared by the Americans professionally, doggedly. Czechs still pressing now. Professional, they'll take their time, organize. Woo, smart shot. Took a little deflection in and went wide. Czechs still in control, circling, hunting around the outside, waiting for the right pass. Watch carefully how accurate their passing is. and how deadly their shots are. Little slap shot there, digging it out of the back of the net. Fish pops loose. And the Czechs just waiting for accuracy. Glenn Evans rattling the chains, wanting to get loose and cut loose on these Czechs. A little bit of pressure on the boards. Got to watch for that in Europe. They don't like the rough stuff, depending on which referee it is. And they're going to get called again. Just as Smurf pops out of the box, someone's going to go back in and sit. And away the Czech keeper goes. This is dangerous for the Americans, wanting to come out and hassle the Czechs. Hustle and hassle, but they're going to pay for it, these refs. European styly. They don't like it up them, and they won't let the Americans get away with too much argy-bargy. Slap shot from deep. Goes up to the corner of the stick side, but goes wide. Czechs settling. Can be dangerous. A rocket ship could fly off at any time. Little tip and baseball being played. 1, 2, 3. And we take a break. Americans regroup. This side. The Americans always feared when they came to this tournament, but unknown in their World Cup debut. On their opening match, looked a little bit overwhelmed by the tight passing, organized and determined approach. Slap shot wide. Czechs still on their power play. Americans looking a little overwhelmed in their opening match. Slap shots going in, pushing from the back. Looks like the Americans might just end up sitting again. Is he going to have a word? Is he going to let it go? Lots of pressure in front of the net. The Americans doing everything they can to try and keep it out. And the referee just going to whisper in his ear instead of sending him to sit. Enright, number 21 in the American team, not getting the same kind of luck. So the power play continues. The Czech team have it all in their locker. The skills, the tools, speed, power, precision, accuracy. As one of their shots goes in, loose puck bobbling in the front. Americans trying to dig it out. And it pops a little loose, and the Czechs will gather and then move forward in force again. Watch for the Czech team to be consistently cycling, turning, moving, forwards become defenders, become forwards. It's liquid hockey, if there ever was one. Deflection off the little wrister. The American pyramid holding out against the Czech onslaught. The Czechs merciless in their progress through the groups. Killing sides, killed Slovakia 9-1. Killed Germany 10-1. The Czechs definitely capable of going on goal-scoring onslaughts that are merciless and pitiless. Not a rough team, the Czechs. You won't find them getting into too much physical. The Americans are going to try and take it to them, get right up in their faces. That's a strategy that's worked for them very well. Czech team now just trying to fire on. Helmet hit. Those of you in the States more used to the ice variety of this sport will note there's only 4-on-4, or there normally is anyway. Expect to see your lads battling away with 3 quite a bit if they intend to take the physical game to the Czechs. They may answer for that with these softly Europeans. Crossing pass just not quite coming off, but the Czechs will gather quickly, putting pressure on. Powerful wrister manages to find his way through to the back. Oh, loose puck in front. Keeper wasn't watching, he was looking behind him. Couldn't figure out what was going on. And the clinical finish, just as expected. Number 14, Balzash. Any little loose puck that does pop off of the boards at the back. These boards designed more for the ice hockey puck, as I've said in commentary up till now. Can be lively, just as good as a rebound off of the pads, or more so, because it just trickles right next to either post, and the Czechs can finish them. Number 89, swinging, spinning, turning in the washing machine, tries to collect the laundry and can't quite do it. Big clearing pass, pressure on, Americans defending well, chasing, then the Czechs consolidate, holding in the neutral zone. Watch the circles now, don't get dizzy. The Czechs will do this all day long. Waiting for a moment, confusing, tricking people into following them, and then popping up in the most inopportune places. Certainly inopportune if you're the keeper, the American keeper, Buffalino. Prominent break dancer, likes to show off his moves. He's going to need to do it now as the dribbling puck goes in. Czech player tried to go in before the puck. A little bit of a knock to the head, but the Czech players are capable of taking those. Americans fighting tooth and nail to clear the puck out of their own zone. And down it comes. A little bit of a push. 89 really fighting. And the referee just warming his hands. And a reset in the center spot. Thank you very much, everyone who's out there watching this final. Whoever you are, exciting. Czechs on here, putting pressure on right away, using a little bit of their own pace to match the Americans going forward. Long passes on though, patiently. All the Czechs went for it, but it never came off. Round the boards, can they capitalize? Smurf not quite dealing with that. Watanabe, number 2, outstanding player for the Americans. Just standing off this Czech player as he checks all the way through. Definitely capable of scoring those. And watch this smart display. Quick, accurate. Snapshot just disrupted. Bounces off the keeper's pads. And there's always somebody there from the Czech side to capitalize. Can the Americans last this onslaught? Better than my voice. Time has flown by. 11:20 left to play in this first half. 2 20-minute halves, periods if you want to call them, played at this level of hockey. Give them a break. They're 38 years old plus. Having spoken to quite a few of these players, many of them are a few more summers and winters beyond that as well. But still tremendous athletes. And this whole tournament has been a tremendous spectacle, to say the least. The Americans, whose spirit and grit have been determined, but they've got to be more careful, less sloppy. Any little loose puck like that, Czechs will pounce on. Just like that. It's got to be more technical. The Americans trying to use a little bit of pace, but the Czechs pouring on his own, can do it. Fires a powerful shot, but the American defender takes it in his stride. Outlet pass up the boards, doesn't come off. Czechs consolidate and break out with a 3. Smartly passing, cross. Keeping eyes on puck, not player, and that's what happens. They sneak in, and there's that Czech just on the back post. Quiet, silent, deadly. But luckily the Americans were wise to it. And everyone changes their boots. Fresh legs come on. Be nice if someone could install me a fresh voice. But thanks to the Canadians and their generosity earlier on, I have a little bit of medicine in here that should help me get through. Czechs splitting the defense, waiting patiently. Little tip. Accurate passing. Right at pace. Watanabe number 2. He'll want a stick handle. He'll want to take it on. Drives it downtown. Little cheeky pass. Glenn Evans gets the shot away. Just stretching forward. Pops out to the center. Glenn's a bit upset at that. Under a little bit of pressure there. Wanting to get the quick shot away. Glenn had to stretch on his backhand. Mirzi. To center, to Watanabe, slap shot, just picked up. Like most of my golf shots, it hit a few trees and branches on the way through and then doesn't appear to have done anything. Americans still in control in the neutral zone, under pressure, popped loose though. Here comes number 48, Blaszczak, slap shot, laser beam. Sniper that one, and any loose pucks, they will get pounced. Americans just being taken a little bit out of their normal game. The program was definitely to keep the pace up, to keep the wheels burning, and to press the Czechs in, but you just cannot disrupt the deadly accuracy of their passing. They're so crisp. Mistakes minimum. They do make them. They are capable of it. They are humans. Doesn't look like it right now. Just robotic. Technical accuracy. Fierce. No expressions on their faces. Just cool. A little bit slippery there on the side. Under pressure. Big unit, number 93, the American. Using a little bit of physical to try and disrupt the Czechs' game, but they coolly get on with the task. Neutral zone breakout, all on his own. Nobody there at the deep post, but still collects it. Nothing taken for granted by the Czechs. Little passing shot. Could have been both a shot or a pass. Now, deep American forechecker trying to get stuck on. Well dealt with this keeper. Czech keeper nonetheless prodigious talent than the rest of the Czech team, and will be next to impossible to defeat with anything less than a spectacular effort. Stick handling well, the Czechs. They can do that too. And they can play smart like they're doing here now. The Americans can't score with their biggest weapons. Stick handling, pressure, attacking speed, while the Czechs hold on to all the possession. And that is their game. Woo, drifting puck. Buffalino just shutting the door, but on all fours. Getting a close-up look at the floor there, Buffalino. He'll have to be acrobatic, as he often is. Fake shot. Well dealt with by the keeper, and a little love tap. As the American striker, and then Bega, number 89, cycles and circles through. Goes for a fresh set of boots. Glenn Evans comes on. British expatriate now living in California. Glenn Evans hunting. Did really well yesterday to get himself into this final. Crossing pass. Czechs always managing to be open under pressure as they go forward. They don't appear to have pace because their movement is so easy. They don't get the wheels pumping. The speed comes on. You don't know you're going fast. Like a Mercedes on the Autobahn, you look down at the speedometer and you don't even realize you're doing 140 until it's too late. And yes, that's miles for our American friends. I'm sure a few of you guys in California have zipped around a little quicker. just as quick as these American boys have done when they get their wheels burning. But it looks like an awful lot of effort for them, whereas the Czechs smoothly accelerate through each of the gears, back checking. Even though that Watanabe, number 2, he's a deep forechecker. You'll see him trying to interrupt the game, but Czechs just too clinical for that. Going forward, stick handling, waiting for the outlet pass. Inlet to the point. Could be a big slap shot here. D-King went into traffic, but still got possession. Still gets a little shot away. Czechs reset. Wait for fresh boots. Slowly spin around. Lone American striker hunting, circumspect. The Czechs just planning their next move. Americans can't score when they don't have possession. So right now they're defending. It's unlike them. But they can do it. Timeout called on the Czech bench with 4 minutes and 38 seconds to play. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? And I hope you guys are having as much fun as I am. My voice certainly isn't. But like most of the players here, I'm going to battle through, like the Americans. I'm going to battle through and see if I can see right through this exciting final. The Czechs dominating, as they were expected to do right from the start. Americans trying their best to disrupt, but just cannot crack these cool customers. Czechs 2, USA 0. Just a little under 5 minutes to play. 7th World Cup at the Masters Inline. That's over 38s. And then some. And if I look out of my booth just now, this arena, Pala Onda Arena, is absolutely chock-a-block full. And what a rainbow of countries and colours you can see. Off to my left, the Brits in their navy blue. Closest to the bars they can possibly get. Enjoying a well-needed rest from all their exploits, avoiding the wooden spoon in their own contest, knowing they're overwhelmed by some of the talent on here. The Swiss team, successful in securing the bronze against the brave Canadians. Stand-up chaps. Couldn't quite get their hands on any metalwork this year, but will have learned a lot. Italians, Aussies in front of me, giving it big licks. Germans over there on my right hand side, quietly contemplating. Can they answer the Aussies? A rare bout of enthusiasm from the Germans. And then a lot of locals, a few Canadians right down on my far right hand side, just nursing their wounds as the Czech come in. Try a little deke. Buffalino shuts the door, but just enough. Could have been a sneaky little underneath. Pressure on now, Czechs alone, breakaway, does the backhand, door shut. A little bit of controversy there as the Czech player rolls around on the boards, tries to gather himself. Very helpfully corrected by my Aussie compatriots here in front. The keeper in the pipes for USA is Big Rob Laurie, number 1. Will he have the same dancing skills? He'll need them. Number 93, Garvey in the bench for tipping up that Czech player. Slap shot out wide, hits his own player on the skate. Czech just playing a little chess here. Watanabe irresistibly chasing the puck, wanted to get his hands on it, wanted to get his teeth on it, just nearly batted away, but just fanned it. The Czechs reconsolidate. Cycling around the pyramid. Bit of a lively through pass. Number 2 still trying to pressurize the point Czech player. Maybe make him cough it up. Deadly slap shot. Those are really accurate. Czech keeper now coming into play. Trying to keep the puck going and spur the Czech players on to keep the attack up, but didn't quite fall right. Number 40, Czech defender, didn't quite expect that and had to mop up a little bit as the Americans get fresh boots on, as their toes get a little numb. They stand on them in defense. Not a position they've been used to in this tournament overall. They want to feel the wind in their hair. Now the only wind they're feeling is the swoosh of a puck sailing past. Puck pinging off. Face off deep in Americans' territory. And they remain in their shell. Some USA flags finally getting waved. Zinger behind the net and wide. Pops out. Americans gather though as they come back 4-on-4. There's a big number 93. Rich Garvey comes out and starts to inspire his team to get the wheels burning forwards. Americans have got some possession. Little tip. Czech keeper had to stretch for that. Hear the crowd willing this on. Wanting the Americans to do well. Czechs are deadly going forward. Oh, pass through the gap. Just interrupted. Otherwise, a goal was certain. Big hook there. Dispossessed of stick, puck, and everything else. The Czech player also going to go for that cheeky little after. Obviously a hook there. And then, well, the referee seeming to think that the Czech player trying to protect the puck was doing a little body check. So they're both going to get to sit for their efforts. And we'll go 3-on-3. The Americans watching an awful lot of this game. From this side of the plexi rather than the other. Enright, 21, sitting again. He'll be wearing a patch in that bench soon. Shapes his bum perfectly. Can he learn quickly enough these European softly rules as the Czechs go forward in numbers. Crossing pass available. Taken Stillwell on the backhand. And would you believe it? The half is over already. And as we finally go to the break, the Czechs go to their locker room. If they do, 2 goals up. USA, nothing in the basket. And both teams content just to take a break on the bench. USA on the road to this final. Ripped a hole in the Aussies when they met, 7-0. Tough game for the Aussies. The Americans were every bit as spirited against them as they have been against every other team. On Saturday, in the quarter, having met Italy for the second time, beating them. (5-2). And then, later on, in the semi, against the clockwork precision of the Swiss, just edging it, 3-2, booking their place right here in this final against the almighty Czechs, who, in the battle with Canada, did absolutely the most professional and tidy, neat job of holding the Canadians, though they fought very bravely indeed, tried all of their tricks, just getting caught a little bit on the hop with the Czechs' precision right off the bat. They came out in the first half and scored 2 early goals, the Czechs, just as they've done here against the USA. Now the USA feeling the pain and the burn from this quite professional Czech side. Very bright Czech team here, lots of new guys coming on from the Czechs. The small country that they live in belies a great depth of talent, having an ice hockey pedigree that they do, and no doubt many of these young chaps, young being a relative term in this case, will be ex-professionals on the ice in Czech leagues, on wheels in Czech semi and pro leagues. Plenty of them around to choose from in Europe. The Czechs then, therefore, also, because of that familiarity, likely have played together, know each other's games very well, and have got very much the same music to read from when it comes to the tune that they sing while they're playing. And that's why they come out and look like they've all been playing together since they were children. They really probably have been. It's going to take everything that the Americans can throw at them in terms of their individual brilliance. Stick handling skills definitely in abundance on the American team. Grit and determination for sure. And a will to battle. Number 2, Watanabe. Lively, bright, hungry, deep forechecker. Has the capability of stick handling, and he loves it when he gets the puck in his stick. Wants to take people on. He can score. So can Glenn Evans. That particular British stroke California twang that he carries with him. An experienced GB player, IIHF. Inline player as well, having traveled around Europe representing Great Britain for many years, now living in California, where I'm sure many people in the early morning on the West Coast are watching and cheering on. Hopefully I'm doing a good job and a good service to you guys in trying to illuminate for you, particularly in North America, the uninitiated to this particular level and brand of hockey. Let's face it, all hockey's good hockey, right? And we'll take it wherever it comes over here. And it comes for these chaps in the form of a 4-on-4 game on wheels, playing on the steel mat surface. Brand newly laid here in this normally ice-filled arena. Pala Honda in Bolzano, the 7th World Cup. Over 38 Masters inline. But you'd never know it by looking at these Czechs. A masterful masterclass on display here. USA with all the work to do as we begin the second half. Czechs passing through narrow gaps, playing snooker with the puck. 2 goals to the good. Nothing for the US yet. And the Czechs content now to just draw lines around the pitch and wait for the perfect opportunity. America's going to have to be quick when they pick up these loose pucks, and they can do it. Czechs are human, they do make mistakes. Need to be bright. Spinning puck delivered, outlet pass. Number 89, chipping, charging, hustling. And that's what you'll see the Americans doing all the time. Determined, hustle. But just not enough to break down the speed. And I think we're going to find a penalty being called for the rough stuff. 2 people are going to sit. Hook and boarding. So Limbega and Enright together again in the penalty box, sharing stories of what it looks like on this side. 2 Czech players. Wortala. I can't quite see the name. It's obscured by from my position. Number 32. Just a quick check on the team sheet. Number 32, Milan Blaha. So, half of the bench on this side now. The other half watching their teams battle through. Early doors in the second half. Czechs 2 goals to the good. A bouncing puck, little basketball in the center of the pitch. And as the Czechs do the stick handling and ping off, finally, Monsieur Buffalino makes his appearance as the keeper and is already swaying from side to side in anticipation of doing some of his funky movements. Mr. Mears, number 26, playing the smart game. Not rushing now, knowing it's dangerous. Czech forecheck are really hassling, going in behind and breaking all the rules, but pushing him forward. Limbega uncharacteristically just tripping up there with his stick handling. Deadly in front. Buffalino doing the hand spin. Coming to deliver by hand in person the puck to the referee. Likes to skate out, keep himself limber. Czech face off with so 4-on-4 in the American end. Loses it. And then, now we've got some wheels going. Americans breaking out, quick. 21, Enright. Lively. Spits it back for another reset. Marsalek sends it round the boards. Doesn't quite come off. And now he'll wait patiently to see what comes up. Patient game for the Americans. His instinct is to want to blast it. Here comes a big spinner all the way around the boards. Can he find it? Doesn't quite come off. Little stickier in patches than you might give it credit for. but physical on defense. Czechs patiently waiting, looking for the through pass. Tumbles into the skates of number 29, who's still forechecking high. And then Czechs go for fresh boots. Can the Americans capitalize? Centering pass just goes through. And the Americans. Another Czechs counter really quickly. 40 passes on, takes a slap shot. Buffalino shuts the door. The Americans weakly dealing with it just behind. Getting pressured. Forecheck is on. 77 just tripping over his own feet there. And the Czechs reset in the neutral zone and settle their cycle. The wheels start to spin. 1, 2, 3. Tape to tape, no mistakes. Nothing on, turn around. 4, 5, through the gap. Little stick handling, pressure, shot, glove save, didn't quite hold on to it, but managed to mop it up just in front. Buffalino brushing away some imaginary dust with his fat keeper stick. Geeing himself up for the next onslaught. I don't think he's yet felt the full force of what the Czechs can bring. Another face-off win in the American zone. The Americans doing very well there. Loose puck in front of the Czech zone, but spat out straight away. Dangerous in front. Took a tip from Mears. Defending well. Puck just being fought for. There a little bit of a tip-tap. Some little afters. The referee was right there to see the whole thing. Maybe thought there was a little justice served there. No paperwork to do. Cheeky Czech player probably just trying to make the glove a little bit harder to pick up. Got a little chop for his troubles. Referee seemed to think that was all fair in love and war. Deadly shot. But high and wide, pings off the glass, comes to play. Watanabe smartly resetting. Wants to run and gun, and here he goes. He's got space. Will he get the wheels burning? Wants to take it on. Stick handling he can do. Elects for the pass. Doesn't want to take on that Czech player. Now he might on the turn. Comes back though. Good centering pass. Slap shot from out. While wide. Puck bobbling in front. Watanabe using every part of his body to try and keep control of the puck. Just takes a little deflection off the referee. Luckily for the Americans. And now some wheels on the Yank side. Can't deal with it in the skate though. Crosses the net and the Czechs on the counter. Big upturning pace now. End to end. Big chop. No slash calls. Little snapshot from the point. Doesn't come off from the Czech team. Spits out in the neutral zone. And 93 Garvey and the Americans will reset. And everyone changes their boots. Or Czech team do anyway. Whoa, big outlet pass. Well taken on the backhand by number 89. Can't make good. Americans collect in the Czech zone. Bring out back to neutral. Under too much pressure. Czechs forechecking really well. Americans in unfamiliar territory behind their own goal. Just trying to find a hole. Trying to find a route. Sat-nav employed. Here he goes again. This is end right number 21 loose. But the Czech back check. Check back check. Check back check. Outstanding. And they counter quickly. Czech movement is so consistently quick. You don't realize that they're sneaking in behind you. Or stick handling right through the front door of the lounge, taking a seat on your sofa and flicking the channels on the TV. Here they go again. Wurtula, slap shot. Wide over the glove side corner. Buffalino leaving it go. Americans push forward, but there's 4 back checkers. Czechs know their job. Mears, centering pass, doesn't get there. Maybe it was a shot. Czech outlet, already in the neutral zone. Blaha, wrister, found a hole. Buffalino was there. Americans in their garden, trying to find a way out. Czechs forechecking. Almost picked that up. Smurf on, loses the puck. He's upset at that. Maybe still feeling a bit sore on his hand. He's holding it funny now. Been carrying an injury on his hand for much of this tournament. Hasn't daunted him in any of the games beforehand. Prolific scorer for the Team USA. Pucks bouncing around, tic-tac-toe from the Czechs. Now a little bit of wheels from them too. Stick handling just as good as the Yankees can. Loose puck bubbling through between the skates and then cleared desperately by the Americans. Czechs hunting in packs. Burning wheels now. Could have been obstruction there. Glenn Evans wondering about it. Buffalino's pad distracting that, but the Czechs still in control. Bringing it back out to the neutral zone. Accuracy of passing. Sprinting it close to the Americans, but they can't stop it. Then this pops out to the boards. Great awareness, the Czechs. They, like radar, they know exactly where everyone is, and they get the puck there every time. And the Czechs play smart. Under a little bit of forechecking pressure, and they start again from behind their own goal. Outlet pass is quick. Center line crossed. Diving in. Still wide. Goes around the back of the net. Americans trying to defend. Can't catch up with the pace. But then Watanabe, the forechecker, tries to loose the puck. The Czech defending point player clicks it. Bouncing off the backboards behind the American goal. Centering pass. Czechs trying to stick handle around. Still there. Americans not getting rid. End-to-end stuff now. Breathless. 8:39 left to play in the game. The final for the gold. Brand new gold. Every bit the match of the Stanley Cup. The new cup bought for this brilliantly run, brilliantly organized, brilliantly supported tournament. Universally another hooking call. Universally appraised by all of the federations represented here. Some of these federations having been original members of the very startup in its infancy, and an infant it was when it first started, as a bunch of dedicated, hardworking old fellas, dads, coaches, uncles, players who wanted to still kick around, refusing to hang up their skates. Started off this little tournament. A few dedicated, passionate players. Martin Mekara, David Ninzate, P.Y. Gerbo, a patron of the sport. And perhaps, if I may humbly include myself, a Canadian expat living in York for what's more now amounts to more than half my life. And a a supporter of hockey in all its forms, and a proud GB player and manager for several years. And even more proud to call many of these players and battlers sat in front of me watching the game or out there playing good friends, which is more about what this tournament's about. A little bit of pressure there. The Czechs deadly. Americans not able to clear the puck as it was tumbling and fumbling around behind their net. Czechs just patiently waiting for the opportunity. Managed to zip it out. Parked in the right spot every time. And then boom. The amount of concentration it's going to take on Bufalino, the keeper. A man seemingly made out of rubber at times, able to gather in pucks that no other keeper could. Just failing to keep the concentration and watching for the clinical accuracy of the Czechs, picking up any scrap they can, and there they have again 3 times. Now some vocalization from the American fans. Hearing them shout, spurring the boys on, getting them to, inspiring them to spin their wheels and use their assets. I'm getting excited now. I'm leaning right out of the booth. More than 300 people in the arena now. Everyone's excited to see this final and this outstanding display. Americans representing their country very, very well, beyond expectation. Doing what Canada couldn't do. The Czechs doing exactly what they do. Win this World Cup 4 times already. Oh, tricky. Now, can I get my stream to buffer so I can see this Czech? Puck spins around. Collected. There was a bit of a cheeky smack. Czech player down hard. Not like them to sit down if it's not serious. American players gathering around just to see, is it right? Is it real? No, says number 21. Enright calls it a dive. Doesn't like it. Calls it a dive. Lumbega in there, shaking his head, wondering. Take it as it comes. Enright having a word with the referee. Says he's going down. Says he's faking it. Definitely got a love tap. Just trying to look at the number of the player who's down. I can't see it from my position. Number 6 on the Czech team. Tomáš Langer. Holding his wrist or shoulder. Yeah, just the sort of upper part of his upper arm there. Bicep, tricep. Obviously felt that little love tap as more than just an invitation for a drink a little bit later. However much passion these guys show on the pitch, and as a testament to that fact, the Canadians and the Swiss earlier on in the bronze medal match, plenty of niggle, plenty of passion shown in that. Captain Mike Hunt sitting on the bench for verbal misconduct because of those passions. Afterwards, hugging each other. Canadians disappointed that they couldn't do better, and the scoreline not really representing quite how well they played. They did their country proud, no doubt. Will the Americans do the same? Holding up the sides, waving the flag. Whoa, deadly slap shot just high. There was a gap there just above the glove side on Bufalino. I could see it from here. Bronze could see it, number 9. You couldn't pot it. They usually can. Americans under even more pressure. And time is ticking. 6:03 left in this gold medal match. The 7th World Cup in Bolzano. Masters A richly deserved name, especially as these Czechs now look forward to sealing their place and sealing their hands around the cup. Their over 45 compatriots only just earlier prior to this game, as Lumbago dives, using every bit of stretch he's got in him to try and collect a puck, but just can't manage to unpick the lock that the Czechs have. Stick to stick, tape to tape. Just missing out on that one. They're entitled one mistake out of 100. Even on the stretch there, here they go again. Czechs deadly, moving in. Lots of room. Woo. Bubbling puck, still in there. Bit of pressure, physical, and Buffalino does the dance. He can dance if he wants to. And the Americans bumping into each other, trying to make sure that that puck doesn't sneak in behind him. Buffalino having another little word with Bronze. I think it was a fair point. Respect shown. And as I was saying, the Canadians, after their Swiss loss of the bronze, still hugging and warmly embracing the Swiss afterwards. Passionate supporters of the game. And now we get to see a Czech sit and a little bit more even up the sides. Not a lot of time left for the Americans to do something. Not really yet seen them open up the full jets. Are they saving their fuel for the last 5 minutes? Can they get their top guns out? Afterburners. Some confusion on the American bench there. Not 100% sure what they're doing. Americans bravely and unbelievably coming out here with just 2 lines, showing just how physically fit they must be at their tender ages, because they're playing like they've got 4. But not yet able to fully unleash the power and the speed. Again, pressed back in unfamiliar territory. 3-on-3 now. 7 seconds, 5 seconds left before the Americans go to 4. Mazalek, 28. Not exactly rushing out in a hurry. Taking his place on the American 4. Drop in. And now, can they put pressure on the pyramid? Big slap shot from out of town. Takes a tip off a stick and goes out. And the Czechs, dangerous on the counterattack. Buffalino, always keen to get into the action. Spins it around and smartly. But the Czech pace just right there on top of it. Changing up a little bit now. Could catch them out. If the Americans were on top of that, they might have exploited. Little bit of line change. Disruption. Mirzi. Passing right into the Czech defender. He turns. He'll be hard to dislodge now, and they'll play with this. Czechs on the short-handed stretch. Going through the gears. And Blaha just flinging the puck into the stratosphere. All the way back. And now the Czechs just blasting the puck from one side to the other. Buffalino did the right thing. Came out. Stopped the puck from going around. Now the Americans can attack. Got numbers, but didn't fancy it. American striker just in the box, trying to find a hole, getting pressured out. No one's on the post to the Americans. It's wide open here. Lumbago wanting it. Stretching wide. Americans don't fancy the cross-ice pass. Czechs defending well. And the Czechs go back to 4. Didn't take the chance, Americans. 2:52 left in the game. 3 goals to the good. I don't know if they can do it now. The Czechs wanting to seal the deal. Almost do. Lively bounce off of the backboards. Could have been collected. Americans coming. Maybe too many men. No doing. Number 2, Lumbago. Evans has got the opportunity, but the Czech keeper just throws down the barrier, and Glenn's frustration showing. Knows he just about had a chance then. 2 minutes 28. The Americans might not have enough time to do something it will take an extraordinary level of effort to dislodge the fingers of the Czech players around this Stanley Cup-esque gold medal, gold cup, Masters World Cup, 7th edition, and the biggest and best yet. Czechs going forward. Little tip on the American. Garvey, 93, can sense his frustration. He's worried, calls the timeout. Does referee acknowledge? Signal to the bench to call. Garvey calls it. Timeout now. Americans, what can they do? How can they undo the knot? The Czechs defend. The Czechs break out. The Czechs play snooker with the puck tape to tape. The Czechs eliminate mistakes and their depth of talent shown through every stage of every game. Perhaps only really tested by Slovenia in their opening match, in their debut. Surprisingly taking the Czechs to a draw in their first match. But the Czechs traditionally, in my experience, have always started a little slow, never fully displaying their full range until needed. Just like the Americans. But maybe just coming up against an opposition now that's just so rich with talent and so hungry for this World Cup that they've held 4 times before and can just start to smell number 5 on the horizon. Can the Americans stop it? Czechs collect in the American zone. We're 4-on-4. We're 1:58 left in the game. The gold medal match. That's a good thing we're almost done because my voice is almost done. Puck just stumbles into the American bench there. No question of it, this tournament just jumped up a massive step in level. And I know the organizer, David Ninzati, was emotional last night in our little committee meeting to talk about how to proceed and progress for the next years. And I know that he was feeling very emotional and proud of the job he's done, and so he should be, because there are 300 people here plus more, and by all accounts, if estimates are accurate, multiple thousands of people having watched the online streaming. Something I've been wanting to do for this Masters level for a long time, and finally managing to pull it off with the support of the volunteers, friends, family, uncles, all co-opted to put together this tournament. And what a tournament it is. Every bit the match of its more prestigious, more moneyed, bigger brothers on the ice and on wheels in other federations. Now here we are, fully on display and hopefully putting on a great one. The Czechs certainly are putting on another masterclass. The clock winding down and closing off this fantastic over 38s Masters tournament in Bolzano with 25 seconds left. The crowd beginning already to show their appreciation. The Americans did everything they could to get this far in the tournament. The clock winds down. The Czechs still in possession. 3 goals to the Americans, 0. And I think the fate is sealed, and the Czechs can hear it now. The gold medal already in their hands. And we have it. World champions Masters Inline for the 7th time running. And the Czechs take it. And the Czechs take it with expert precision, expert handling, and expert tradition. 5 times. And you will see them now celebrating bravely. I've seen this celebration before. And I know that these guys will be feeling ecstatic to have withstood the introduction of the North American teams. And despite passions being raised at full temperature, a little bit of heat just being exchanged by the players just before the finish, they put it to bed now and shake each other's hands. And the Americans showing their appreciation for the masterclass of skill and talent that the Czech team brought. The Americans just couldn't get the wheels rolling. They just couldn't use their biggest weapons. The Czech engineering of hockey of such quality, deserving the big new gold cup that David Ninzati, maestro organizer, Italian team supporter, general manager of the Italian team, has organized for them. And in the very best spirit and in the very best tradition, the players salute us, the fans, and the game, and each other. Well, commiserations to those of you who have gotten up early to switch on this live stream in the USA, east to west. Show your kids roller hockey in USA doesn't have to stop when you're 35, 36, 37 years old. These guys came out here and absolutely ran into the final. And now you're going to see a display of the spirit and tradition of us masters, having necessarily to play a little bit more with our mind than our sore backs, our aching legs, our dodgy knees, but our ever-expanding hearts, if I can get sentimental. And I am. It's been more than my pleasure to take you guys through this. And please forgive me of my squeaky voice and my totally unprofessional attitude as I scramble around here with team sheets half filled in, scratchy notes, and my beloved little girlfriend's Mac. Spent so much time organizing and cleaning up so I could take it out here and use it as a monitor to see this streaming. She made it possible for me to possibly introduce a few new fans around the world to this outstanding spectacle